Oh boy, this is not good. I saw this report from Charania of ESPN, and I had a small crash out. And if you know me and you know the channel by now, you know I like to crash out. My particularly favorite topics are Anthony Davis and Nico Harrison. But I am going to crash out almost on today's show around Jonathan Kuminga. I've talked about Kuminga and my lack of desire for the Mavericks to trade for him here at the 2026 NBA trade deadline. But Sham says the Mavericks have interest. I'm going to tell you on today's show why I think it is a horrific idea for Matt Riccardi and Michael Finley to go out and acquire the disgruntled Warriors former lottery pick. But hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because the trade deadline is just 2 weeks away from today. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a rumor, a news item, anything surrounding your Dallas Mavericks. As we all know, Jonathan Kuminga last week demanded, not requested, demanded a trade from the Golden State Warriors and told Mike Dunleavy, Joe Lacob, Steve Kerr he no longer wanted to play for the Warriors. Now, the calculus in Golden State may have changed a little bit because Jimmy Butler tore his ACL and will be out for the season. Jonathan Kuminga registered 16 straight DNP coaches' decisions before playing in last night's game, and now the Warriors are going to have to make a decision on whether or not they still want to explore the trade market for Kuminga. I think they're going to, and Sham Charania thinks they're going to as well. And he had an interesting quote here on Jonathan Kuminga where he said, the relationship between Kuminga and Steve Kerr is fractured beyond repair. Do you try to find a deal out there on the marketplace that can help them win and compete? Two teams that have interest in Jonathan Kuminga, the Dallas Mavericks and Sacramento Kings. Why on earth would the Mavericks have interest in Jonathan Kuminga? I simply do not get how that would benefit the Mavs in any which way whatsoever. I don't think Kuminga, number one, is a good tank commander at all. Number two, would be an ideal fit next to Cooper Flagg. Number three, if you're trying to win games, well, he doesn't really help you do that either. And in 19 games this season, Kuminga statistically having one of his worst years in Golden State. Now, and we all remember the saga last summer where it lasted well into August, his restricted free agency. He finally signed a 1+1 deal with Golden State to go back with the idea that he would be traded here at the deadline. His numbers on screen, you see, they're absolutely horrific. But it's not just the numbers as to why I'm out on Jonathan Kuminga. Number one, he's a headache off the court. He has made the Warriors' life hell in that front office because he has just been unhappy for the last couple of years about the number of touches he's getting, the number of shots that he's getting, his minutes, this and that, whatever. He has not been a great teammate, a great servant to the Golden State Warriors. And he really does think he's better than he is. Like, Jonathan Kuminga has stated that he wants to be a number one option on a team. Who is taking Jonathan Kuminga as a number one option? There's not a team in the NBA that would do it. Well, maybe the Brooklyn Nets because they're absolutely delusional. But outside of them, no team in their right mind is letting Jonathan Kuminga put up 20 field goals a night. It's just simply not happening. He's an inefficient scorer, as I showed you guys. Less than 45% from the field. Below league average from three-point land. Just not very good there. And I just don't see a world where Jonathan Kuminga helps the Dallas Mavericks out. Now, his contract is not something that is completely over, or it's not, impossible to deal with because he's making $22.5 million this year, and there's a team option on the next year for $24.3 million, which you would assume any team in the world would decline said option to make him an unrestricted free agent this summer. So if you were to trade for him, yes, you could get out of the deal after this half season and be done with it here and there. And maybe that is reason alone for the Mavericks to potentially explore it, just to clear up $24 million in salary cap relief. That's a possibility. But just thinking about it on the surface, it's a very hard pass for me. I don't want anything to do with it. Just don't even consider it. It is not something that I think would be a good idea for the Mavericks. I don't think it would help Matt Riccardi or Michael Finley get the full-time GM job, which is something they absolutely are vying for here at the deadline. Like, their futures with the Mavericks really is predicated on the next 2 weeks in the work that they can do or lack thereof leading up to the trade deadline. I don't think they want their legacy as interim GMs to be trading for Jonathan Kuminga. And the Warriors, GM Mike Dunleavy, he had a really funny quote actually the other day where Kuminga, yes, did demand the trade, and Dunleavy went on to say, yeah, I'm aware of that, but in terms of demands, when you make a demand, there needs to be demand. So basically what he's saying is, yeah, I know JK demanded a trade, but no one wants you, Jonathan. So either start playing better or get used to being on the Golden State Warriors. It's one or the other. And I think at the end of the day, it won't be the Mavericks that would trade for Jonathan Kuminga. At least I really hope not, because I do think that this team does want players who can either help Cooper Flagg in the long term or help them win right now, neither of which Jonathan Kuminga does. I mean, the GM and the head coach of the Golden State Warriors openly dislike Kuminga. They don't want him around. What does that tell you? If Steve Kerr, four-time NBA champion head coach, I know you can say what he will, he might be a little overrated in that aspect, and then Mike Dunleavy, who I think is a very good basketball executive, want nothing to do with them, why on earth should the Dallas Mavericks want something to do with Jonathan Kuminga? We'll talk more here in just a moment, continue the conversation, but today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks, and the big game is almost here in just a couple of weeks. There's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups where you play your first $5. PrizePicks is now available in all 50 states, including California, Georgia, Florida, and Texas. They put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. PrizePicks offers quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season, and I do have a projection for championship weekend in football. Give me the more on Drake May passing yards, the more on Matthew Stafford interceptions, and the less on Rashid Shaheed receiving yards. One of my favorite new features on PrizePicks is you can copy my lineup with the social feeds feature, where you can just copy lineups with one click, or you can use them as inspirations for your own picks. You can follow PrizePicks partners like us and tail or fade our picks. It is super easy to download. All you do is go to the App Store, download the app, use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. The only way I would do a Jonathan Kuminga trade is part of a larger Anthony Davis deal. If the Mavericks are shipping out Anthony Davis, whether it's to the Warriors, whether it's to somebody else, then I would take Kuminga back in, decline that team option, and make him a free agent next year. I would consider that. But the Mavericks also, I would want them to be acquiring draft capital in addition. Like, that is how much I detest JK and how much I do not want him here with the Mavericks. He might put up 16 points a night in Dallas, but it would be on 40% shooting, 28% from three. It just would not be good basketball to watch whatsoever. But if an Anthony Davis deal materializes and he's a part of it, sure, fine. We can discuss it at that point. But man, oh man, when I saw Shams say that the Mavericks were interested, I just got butterflies in my stomach because I just don't want that whatsoever. But I made my voice clear. Now it's time to make your voice heard down in the comments section. Do you want Jonathan Kuminga here on the Mavericks? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Let me know what you guys think. You guys know where I stand. I don't want anything to do with him whatsoever. And I mentioned this earlier. If the Mavericks want to build around Cooper Flagg, Kuminga's not the guy. He is not someone that is going to make Cooper Flagg better, elevate Cooper Flagg's game. That just simply will not happen if they're on the court together. I don't see the fit. I don't see the need to go after him. And I just don't see the reasoning behind the Mavs being interested in Kuminga. Now, we will get to see Jonathan Kuminga up close tomorrow night when the Mavericks take on the Golden State Warriors at the American Airlines Center here. We'll be live for that game as well, so be sure to hit that subscribe button because we will have you covered with that game, and we'll see if Jonathan Kuminga puts on a good performance tomorrow night against the Mavericks. I got to be honest, I really hope he doesn't, so the Mavs don't even elevate their interest in Kuminga. But to be honest, I really don't envy Matt Riccardi and Michael Finley in the decisions they have to make here in the next couple of weeks regarding this roster. They have to balance the long-term future of the Mavericks versus the short-term future, because their futures could be short-term as well. So it's very interesting times here in Dallas with the Mavericks leading up to the next couple of weeks, and we will have you covered every single step of the way. So hit that subscribe button for more Mavericks news and rumors, and join us live tomorrow night for Mavericks vs. Warriors.